Welcome to the Founder Fumbles podcast, where we dig deep into real life entrepreneur struggles and comeback strategies. I'm your host, Dahmari Taplin, and we have Jonathan Castner. Jonathan Castner is CEO of Castner Creative, a commercial filmmaker, immersive brand storyteller, advocate for expanding businesses, and now he's telling the story through immersive and dynamic visuals. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Jonathan Castner. So what's going on, man? How's Castner Creative?
So many things going on.
Yeah.
I'm quite excited. So nothing ever stays the same. And I think that part of the problem people have who are not, like you said, are not founders and trying to make something from nothing is they have the feeling that things should be constant, things should be stable. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't work that way. In any part of life, and business is no different. So if you're not trying to do new things, somebody else is. Mm. And that's often the problem. So are you constantly having new ideas? Are you building new things? Are you making lots of mistakes so you can find out what actually works? But if you always do the thing that you've done, you'll always get what you've always got, unless someone beats you to it by coming up with new ideas that you never bothered with.
Right.
So what I've been doing through my entire career, starting back in 93, was what else can I do? How can I take the things that I've learned and the ideas that I have and apply them to other markets, other people, other opportunities?
So, and we're talking about Castner Creative
just
right now.
Me. Just
okay.
Me.
That's what you've been doing.
So
trying to.
I started out in '93 as a photojournalist, originally in Detroit, and then '95 I moved to Colorado, and became one of the go-to people for all the who's who in the news and editorial. So, New York Times, Washington Post, Reuters, Agence France Presse. I did work for ESPN Magazine, Discover, Bloomberg, Fast Company, a bunch of people in Europe, all that kind of thing. So from Albuquerque to Canada was my territory. But you're always trying to come up with ideas, love projects, you need the attention of somebody. So when you're freelance, you are running your own business.
Right.
And you may be waiting for manna from heaven to fall out of the sky, but you always have to be working on a new idea. You've got to be pushing yourself and coming up with new stuff, which we refer to as personal projects, but I consider to be research and development. I've got an idea, and I'm pretty sure I can do this. If I can do this, then I can use that to promote myself. So that got me into doing commercial work. And it was initially being hired by agencies, marketing companies, because they understood my skill set. But once we went into digital around 2000, then I'd go in for Wall Street Journal or whatever, and then the marketing person would be able to immediately see what I did, and they'd say, oh, can you come back? Yes, I can. So then I started working directly for the businesses because they saw what I could do, what it's like to work with me. And then we started talking ideas, which is a very, very different thing that I got than I was working with agencies, because the agencies are simply hiring technicians. We want you to do this thing because we came up with the idea and sold it to the client. But when I was working for the customer directly, we always had better ideas because we could start having conversations to produce synergy, which never really happened with the agency because the agency was trying to sell them on their idea, not the idea.
Right.
So it became obvious that I wanted to go more and more into the commercial world.
So hold on, wait.
Fire hose.
The question was, how's it been going?
Yes.
How have you been doing?
This is the backstory.
Yeah. Okay.
That's how my mind always works.
Right.
What can we do next? How can I add? How can I add? So as we are now, it's been taking all of the skill sets that I have, and now you and I met at ETA because now I'm taking all of the skill sets that I have, and I'm not applying them directly into the business development marketing space. So now I'm doing it specifically for business to ramp out for the exit strategy, which is a unique market that nobody has bothered with. So now I'm going through research and development for that, and lining up stuff to produce an entirely new industry, where at this point, I'm the only one doing it. Thus, I'm really excited. But this is an extension of everything that I've ever done for the last 32 years.
Got you. So that's why you were at the whole event. Like I was there, seeking, some investors, you know what I mean? Maybe a buyer as well, because there's people trying to, I don't know if it was millionaires there or people there that's really connected with banks or whatever, but people are looking to, bit of both, right? So you're kind of getting people in the proper position for an exit.
Correct.
Right?
But that's because I ask questions that are rarely asked. I am taking the things that I learn and I'm applying them in different ways.
And that's Castner Creative.
This is exactly.
You're Castner.
I'm Castner.
You're Castner, the creative. Yeah.
And so the excitement that I was telling you before we started rolling is all of the new stuff I'm able to build because of the ability for me to synergize formerly unrelated things into a new cohesive whole.
So let me ask you a question. You said, people don't ask the right questions. I know you have a top question. What's your top question that you ask the entrepreneurs? Like, what's your go-to question that you consider the right question? I want to know that.
The one that starts the conversation in a really good direction.
Which
is how do your best customers feel about you? What language do they use to describe why, of all the other options, they keep coming back to you? That tends to flat-foot darn near everybody. Because I didn't ask them, do you get good reviews? I asked about feeling. And that fundamentally is what a brand is. A brand is a set of feelings about an organization. It's not the logo, it's not your font package, it's not your color scheme. It is the expectations and the relationship. That's really what the brand is. If you don't know how your people feel about you, if you don't know how they talk about you, then you've got a major problem because you think you know what they want. And you're partly right.
So to switch that around, how do you think your customers feel about you?
They tend to like me. Because one of the things is that in order to do what I do, I have to be, as I say, terminally curious. Yes, it'll kill me, and I'm okay with that. But I need to know everything. And the work that I do starts from research, human research. We're not going to be worried about charts and graphs. We're not looking for deviations. We're looking for language. We're looking for commonality of experience. So every project that I do is fundamentally business development. Yes, I'm helping them reach more customers and make more money, but they're learning things about themselves because of what I come back with. And this, in some cases, has transformed businesses. This has certainly, with every project that I do, made my client view themselves and what they do in a very different light.
So if you were to do your research on me, where would you start?
Well, you as my client, it always starts this way. We have a conversation for about an hour, and I start my discovery, and I love the term discovery because it needs to be that. I need to discover things. In many cases, things that are hidden in plain sight. So I start with you, and we start figuring out what you think you're all about. And then I go out in the world, and ideally, I go to location, and I put on camera some of your best clients. And I have them tell me about their experience with you based upon the things that I've learned about you directly and all the other research they've done about you.
So they're not real clients.
Oh, yes.
They're
your actual clients. I need to learn from the people that you've had relationship with. And we don't talk about so much what you do. We talk about, in some cases, how you do it that differs. But we are always talking about the relationship that you have with the client and the transformation that you provided for them. And that becomes, it's not a testimony. Do you swear to raise your right hand and testify? No, we don't do that. But it is very much a guided conversation that feeds off of itself. I'm not just checking off boxes because these are things we need to know. I want to go on a journey of discovery with them, to learn things that are very, very personal from them. And usually it's 4, sometimes 6, depending upon the size of the project. And then I come back to you because I can aggregate down that data, the things that they said, the emotions they have, the very words that keep popping up. And say, okay, let's go back to the beginning. What about this and this and this? And they all talked about this. And every time I do that, I come back to the client. The client comes back and says, oh, wow, I didn't think about that. Right. I didn't know about that. Right. And in one case, I did a project last year where the client realized that they had their business backwards. And so they have inverted the entire business model based upon what we came back with my research. Because their people, the ones that they work for, who write them checks, told them what they really valued. It wasn't this thing, it was that thing. Yeah, this is cool, but that changed everything. Bam. Then, with that framework, I then build the narrative that combines the two. There's 2 optics to that. It's you talking about what you do in their language, and then talking about what you do in their language, but frameworked about the thing that is fundamentally you. So user experience, brand story, and together it's a 360-degree view of what someone who is new to you can truly expect.
So I have 2 questions. Who's like your target market, and how much do you charge for something like this? Because it seems like a lot of, are you like driving around? Are you like finding people on LinkedIn? Like, how are you connecting with clients and stuff?
The trick here is I appear to be the only person who does what I do the way that I do it. Because this is normally what would happen if you had $1 million to spend on market research and analysis and all of this. This is the kind of thing that if you were really serious about it, you would hire a top agency to put their team onto it.
And you're the whole team.
And I'm the team. Below that price point, you don't get that at all. And not to ding on people in the marketing space, but the phrase that has come up is the illusion of bespoke, where you're going to spend $92,000 on your advertising campaign, and you're going to talk to a marketing company. What the marketing company, advertising company is primarily doing is selling you on a prepackaged idea. Oh, you work in such and such. We work with people like you all the time. We'll make a custom package just for you. But what they're really doing is going back to the warehouse, pulling one off the shelf and go, here, this is custom for you.
Right.
But it's not. And this is one of the reasons why, certainly under a certain price point, darn near everybody looks interchangeable. And so one of the things I will tell my people is, go and look at the 3 websites of your main competitors and take a step back. They all kind of look alike, don't they? They're all kind of saying exactly the same things, aren't they? Heck, they're probably using the same color schemes. Why? Because they were all sold on a cookie cutter version of themselves. And when you start peeling back the layers and doing the research and seeing how you really affect your clients, we come back with a very different presentation of yourself, because it's not cookie cutter. It is made for you because we did the work.
Right. So are you doing this stuff by yourself? Do you have like a business partner or co-founder or anything like that?
In all honesty, the neat thing is I now have a whole lot of trusted friends who are darn good business professionals that I bounce ideas off of.
Okay.
But probably the closest thing that I have to a co-founder would be my wife. Because she's her own version of me. She's a writer, editor, creative. She's a marketing creative director for 10 years. Whole lot of skills in that girl. And she is the closest thing that I have to my trusted advisor on things, because I run everything by her. And if she's got a better idea, we're going to go with that. And if she ends up saying, yeah, that's really, really cool, then we're on par. So I will run and edit by her, because she is also a visual artist. So we dovetail over. She understands words, she understands language, she understands visuals. We critique advertisements together.
Right.
And end up saying, well, that made no sense. I'm not even sure what they're selling. Yeah, me too. And they spent money for that. That's just kind of how the funky world in my house goes.
Right.
But it's primarily me. Now I've got assistants and contractors that I can bring in to speed the process up.
Right.
But all of the creative and deep thinking stuff, that's me.
Right. So I don't think you answered my question earlier. How much do you charge for something like this? Oh, okay.
So I work with everything from spunky entrepreneurs and solo consultants up to 200, 300 employees. The size of the scope dictates the price. And if I have to fly to 3 different cities to get the content that we need, well, that's wrapped into the project. But at the same time, but if that's what's needed and that's the size of the company, then that price point isn't a problem. But if I picked up this little thing for this guy, and he truly needs the simplest thing. He basically just needs a good branding video, 90 seconds, because he's truly just getting out the gate. He doesn't even have a client yet. We don't even have anyone to talk to.
Right.
So I had to give him a whole bunch of navel-gazing homework to start figuring out, what are we actually talking about? Who is this guy, and why should anybody care? Right. And that's a simple little, couple G project. But I'm going to be spending 2 weeks on the road, hypothetically, bouncing around to do all this stuff. A little bigger than that. But because I don't have the overhead, because I don't have the team and all that I got to pay, a lot less affordable than a whole lot of people would realize, because I don't need to charge that and still do okay.
Right. Okay. So like, what's like a smaller project that you would do, like as far like not having to, go reach people, get in touch with clients. Is there anything that you can do?
So I've got a project that I'm just finishing up. Great guy. He's a kind of a consultant type. Works virtually. He doesn't really have people so much in the area. Most of his people are remote. I had to call up one of his clients who's in Germany. So it was some research, no user experience. That's probably going to be for a different phase. But plenty of research and full day on location shooting, and then a full day of post-production. And all of that rolls out to just a smidge over $5,000. But what that means is now this is dovetailed in with his new website. So it's part of his entire packaging. I got brought in by my friend who's doing his website. And he does this very subtle thing that if we don't explain it, you're never going to get it. But he's awesome. Cool. Let's explain this guy in a way that you can connect both intellectually and emotionally to what he can do for you.
So you actually like provide like the visuals as well. Like when you go to meet these clients, like are you recording? Do you have like your cameras out? I'm trying to get a good visual.
It all depends. Now for this guy, we're going to be shooting what's called B-roll, the visuals that explain more of the story. We decided, because of what he does, I'm not going to put him on camera. We don't need that. But I'm going to have him do voiceover. So in that circle of research, so I started out with him, and then I did a few half an hour recorded conversations, which then gives me the information to come back to have him explain. And in that case, I had him hooked up for audio. And so he found it very strange to basically be like sitting in a voiceover booth, having a conversation. But that is going to be the things that I need him to say, the way that he needs to say it, that I can then edit that 40-minute conversation down to 90 seconds. Just exactly the right words, in the right order, that I can then layer the visuals on top of, that will not have any sound recorded, because that's not necessary. Because his voice, his soft voice is bringing you through that story. Otherwise, he would be on camera. But it depends upon the client and the needs and the vibe and all the things that we've learned. And that's why there's no cookie cutter. Every single project, like every person, is unique.
So, what is that term you use from the script to the screen?
Script to screen. So, because there isn't a term for what I do, I'm not an advertising agency, I'm not a production company. In the tech world, they refer to it as full stack, the whole shebang. Right. Well, that doesn't mean anything in the space that I work in. So I say I'm script to screen, I'm concept to creation. From nice to meet you to, yes, I can't wait to work out with you on phase 2. I do the whole kabang. I'm not doing the razzle-dazzle and then having someone build it for me at lowest price. So I came up with that to give you the understanding that I'm doing the whole darn thing, and that I'm working with you through every single step so that you get what you need and what I envision.
Have you ever, got stuck doing this and kind of question your purpose or anything like that?
I never really questioned my purpose because
It's in you. It's deep in you, right?
Well, because I'm blessed that it dawned on me at one point, and I've asked this so many times, how did I figure that out? That I found my purpose. I'm not wired to be an employee. I am not wired to do anything the same thing twice. But I was reading National Geographic when I was fairly young, and it dawned on me that that was a job. They get paid to do this? Oh, that sounds awesome. I had no idea how to do that. I didn't go to school for any of that kind of thing. I went to school to become a biochemist. I came out of school as a psychologist with the intent of becoming a therapist, which is why, of course, I became a journalist. I have a deep need for research and method, but a huge drive to understand the human condition and to make positive change for people. And I do that by putting people into other people's worlds, visually and then with narrative. And that's why I use the term immersive, because I don't want you to feel like a voyeur. I want you to feel like that person is having a one-to-one conversation with you so that it's personal. And you're not being sold. You're being brought into a new world of possibility. And because we understand the language that we need to use, because we've done the research, that guy or that lady that we've never met before, for some reason, is speaking like he knows me. It's not broadcasting. It's a new friend. And I only work for people that I like. I work for adults who do good things. And that's my biggest funnel. Are you trying to make the world better? Are you a decent person? Great, let's talk. Let's find some way so that you can have bigger impact. Yes, you might be writing me the check, but it's your clients, it's your new clients that I'm actually working for. I'm trying to draw them to an awesome person, an awesome organization that makes their life better. And going into this exit strategy thing, I'm not working for the owner of the company. I'm working for their client, their customers. And I'm working for your employees. Because once that owner hands off the company to the new owner, it's those people that he's left behind that's relying upon me, in my head, to maintain that great thing that they've loved and respected for years, only with someone now different.
So how long is the process, you know, with everything you're doing? How long does it usually take?
It's a couple of months, but it's all stuff that you don't see. Once I get launched, I bug you a couple of times, and then it's on your desk. Just picked up a new client last week, and the whole thing was,
don't push anything.
Once you get me started, I'll send you a couple of emails. I'm going to come back here in a few weeks, and I'm going to put you on camera for about half an hour, and that's it. I do all the rest of the work, and I dovetail multiple projects because they all take different timelines. So usually for most of these things, it's 3 to 4 months start to finish, but minimal impact upon the client because they have other things to do.
Got you. So what's your like success rate in like finding a client? Like, do you like do people just come to you and like ask you for your services, or do you have to go up to people and just say, hey, this is what I do? And then like how many people actually say yes to that? Is it like 100, no's and like then you get a yes? Or how does that how is it finding clients?
I can't think about that, or I'd want to jump off a bridge.
Right.
Because this is what happened when I realized that I was going in this direction, full-time, nonstop, all this up. These kinds of things that I've been doing for the last 12 or 15 years as little drips and drabs, this was my thing. That I can technically help everybody. I can walk down Main Street and knock on everybody's door because I can make their business better. Mm-hmm. But that didn't work. One, they're not looking for me. Two, most businesses are not in a true growth mindset. They've established a lifestyle, they make enough money, they're working hard enough. Who's got time for that? I'm plenty busy. Well, nobody wants to be forcibly educated. So much like my world of journalism, I had to build a relationship system. I had to build contacts that understood my value. Back in the day, I needed about 75 people in the entire world to know who I was for my phone to ring 6 days a week. But that's because I had a very particular skill set that they knew what to do with. All the people on Main Street had no idea what to do with this guy. So what I've been doing is I meet people and I build relationships, not based upon what I do, but based upon how I think. If you understand how I think, then my final deliverables make more sense. But no one can look at the work that I have done and easily be able to project themselves into that kind of thing.
Gotcha.
No one really is as creative as they would like to be. That's my job. So I have been networking and having building relationships. So now the phone is ringing more because people are saying, hey, Scotty, you should meet my buddy Jonathan. I think he can help you with that project. You guys have fun. Oh, hey, Scotty, nice to meet you. That's just how it works. But if I actually thought about how many people that I meet who should be a client and isn't a client, and I aggregated that metric out, I would jump off a bridge because there's not even a conversion rate. You meet a couple hundred people a week doing serious business networking. I only need 2 people a month to say, so how does this work? And once we get to the point of how does this work, we end up doing work. Because if they understand how I think, everything else falls in line.
Yeah. So what about your what about your low moments? I know it's those times that you did feel like jumping off a bridge. Like what did something ever, I ain't gonna say get you to that moment, but tell me about your like lowest moment as the CEO of Castner.
Well, I gotta tell you, 2020 was awful for most of us in a lot of ways, but that's when I had really started to make the transition away from almost exclusively news and documentary into exclusively commercial storytelling. Mm-hmm. And
what's your story behind it?
Well, flipping pandemic and lockdowns, man.
Oh yeah.
If you work on location, you work with people, and you can't go on location, you can't be around people.
Right.
You can't build relationships because everybody's trying to figure out if we're going to go into Mad Max at any given time. Well, that gave me a lot of time for thought, reflection, and all of that. That was just...
Did you pivot? Or
no?
Or did you just wait till the pandemic was over?
Wait.
Back on? You just had to wait?
Had to wait.
Wow.
Had to wait about 18 months.
Sheesh.
Yeah. And then start from zero. because I had a couple projects leading up to that and everything just stopped. That was kind of tough, but it really isn't the low moment.
Right.
The low is, I think for me, and I am not like everybody else, is just the normal human. What am I doing with myself, and am I fooling myself? Right. And I've fought with imposter syndrome for most of my life, and yeah, well, God, let's see, I fought imposter syndrome for about the first 40-something years of my life, and I remember when I finally shook that off, where I was in bed reading. And it hit me, and I put down my book, and I turned to my wife and I said, I just realized something. I'm really good at this. And she says, what? And I said, yeah, there's no way I could have done that last project if I didn't really know what I was doing, because it is so good. I have got to be good at this. And she said, where is this coming from? You're the most confident, assertive person I've ever met. And I said, yeah, I fooled you too. But it was that I had done this thing that I was so proud of. It couldn't have been a fluke. There's no way it could have been a fluke.
What was that thing?
Oh, that was it was a documentary piece that I had done. I spent the better part of a year doing a piece on the culture of high school wrestling from the inside, which was very much a blueprint for the kind of work that I do now, where it was all observation and it was interviews and then following up and then, okay, this is really important. I got to figure out how to explain this kind of thing. Proper documentary.
Yeah.
But it was about the culture. It was about the people. It was about their heart. And I think the whole runtime is about 23 minutes. And if I get talking about it, I'm probably going to start crying because it still affects me after all these years. But I say, yeah, there's no way I could have done all of that if I didn't really know what I was doing, and in multiple disciplines.
Yeah, I can see how that led you up to like where you are now, and like, cause just talking about doing that documentary, how you had to dig deep and like actually go do your research, physically as well, right? Yeah. It's like you said, it's like the blueprint of like what you're doing now.
You can't do this kind of thing unless you really care about people. You can't do this kind of thing well if you have an agenda that is not outside of yourself. You can fake it, pardon the pun, but people see, people know.
Right.
And one of the best pieces of attaboy that I ever got was back in the day from.
You said attaboy?
Yeah. Yeah. I was fairly young in my career, and I had a portfolio review with a big-time editor. She was the editor at U.S. News and Report. Ended up, 2 years later, going to become the photo editor of Time magazine. And she looked at my portfolio and she said, "Good stuff. People like you. I can tell. It's in your pictures. You're going to do good." That really meant a lot, because it is always about the people. While I don't agree with the rest of what he said, yes, corporations are people too, my friends. They're not individual peoples, but they're made of people.
Yeah. And
we forget that every person in that organization, big or small, has a part in it. And they also have, hopes and dreams and fears and all that kind of thing like anybody else does. That's why I only work for good people. I will not work for anybody who is exploited. I will not sell ice cubes to Eskimos. I will not be a minion for evil. I don't care how fat the check is. The answer is I'm busy that day. Thank you for calling.
So I do have a question. What are your thoughts on like the law of attraction? Do you believe in it? Do you know what it is?
Yeah, I have my own little version of this.
Own little version.
Much like I just said, good people tend to want to be around good people.
Yeah, that's why actually.
Psychopaths are around other psychopaths because they understand each other. if you understand what your vibe is and you're good with your vibe, you will find yourself surrounded by other people and build a tribe around it.
Right.
You know, the whole thing of you are essentially the amalgamation of your 5 best friends. There's a lot of ways to describe it, but you don't often meet just the most wonderful person whose best friend is a jerk. You don't do that.
Right.
Jerks hang around with the jerks.
Exactly.
That's the language that they speak.
Right.
So being comfortable in your own skin, being true to yourself, it's good for everything.
Nice.
Good in business. Imagine that.
So law of attraction to you just kind of means like, you know, being true to yourself and just surround yourself around great people that can also make you great. Just being around good energy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So
you can tell.
Yeah.
When you can get out of yourself a little bit, you can tell people who look like they're happy. You can tell people who look like that they're angry. You can tell people who look like they're scheming something.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're really good actors.
Right.
They're very good manipulators.
Mm-hmm.
But by and large, you can tell from across the street if that's the kind of person who just, you know what, he looks like fun.
Yeah.
Because it comes out of us. It's just, are you aware of it or not?
Mm-hmm. So what about like, so a big part of law of attraction for me is like, you know, daily routines. You know what I mean? Do you have any daily routines that help you like keep your head in the game, stay focused and stay sharp, you know?
Well, you're talking to someone who is an insatiable learner.
Mm-hmm.
I do not have hobbies the way that normal people do. I don't. I'm not bowling,
Not hobbies. Okay.
What is undeniable about every part of my day and every day is how much I try to learn. If I'm not learning new stuff every day, I'm not sharp. I'm not on my game, because the quest to understand and then process and then transport that to somebody else is a fundamental part of my being. But because I don't live in a world, never have lived in a world where there's any real repeatability, except for getting up in the morning, having a cup of coffee, making sure I'm caught up with my emails, every day is kind of different, except for the fact that I'm always reading stuff to learn stuff.
Mm-hmm. That's the first thing you did when you came here and looked at my books. And it was like,
I was researching you.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the fundamental. I am so internally dynamic that there really isn't a routine the way that people would be, but there are constants.
Gotcha.
And the learning thing is a constant.
I'm going to show you a new book I got called Miracles. I'm not sure. I don't know if you read it or not, but I'll show it to you after this. But yeah, so if you, well, here's my question. If you could give any new entrepreneurs, what advice would you give like to new entrepreneurs that just become an entrepreneur?
Step one, you're not as clever as you think you are, but that's okay. You don't have to be a genius. You have to surround yourself, as they always say, with smarter people than yourself.
Yes, for sure.
Know that everything changes for a reason. Learn to be flexible.
Mm-hmm.
Never know it all. Never believe that you can predict the future. But that somebody has thought of something similar. That's not a problem. All markets are saturated if you do not know what is undeniably you. That you do not have to reinvent the wheel, but you figure out how to put a better, smoother bearing on it so now it runs smoother, or maybe you can make a new material out of it so it has less flywheel effect, or maybe it's got better grip. Still a wheel.
Right.
But now you got something you can get behind. Me Too never gets you ahead. And what I do is I help people figure that out from the get-go, and then we message all of that. Going back to the cookie cutter thing. Trends change. Human nature fundamentally doesn't. New is great. We are very driven for novel, but you still got to bring it home. Like right now, everyone's talking about AI. Great. What does it do? It's getting people's attention, but what does it do? Well, that's going to change too. So how are you connecting novelty with the ancient aspects of human beings? Now you can do something with that. But if you don't have your unfair advantage, everybody else is trying to do the same thing in their own way. What do you have? It doesn't have to be a big platform. Yeah. It's got to be something. You cannot be seen as being interchangeable. Mm-hmm. And the exercise I give everybody is, if you want to know your problem in your customer's eyes, go to Home Depot on Saturday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and stand in front of the dishwashers and watch Bob and Allison try to make a purchase decision. Because they're all recognizable brands. They all look the same. They all do the same. And they're all at the same price point. They're stymied. They need a solution, but they can't pick because there's no there there. Mm-hmm. Well, don't do that. Have a solution with something that is fundamentally, undeniably yours. And you'll either choose it or not. And if they choose it, that's their jam. Because you want people who are excited for what you offer.
Hmm. So, would you consider yourself like successful, like what you do? Like, what does success mean to you?
This is a new thing for me. Mm-hmm. I worked for 25 plus years in an industry where success was I'm still relevant. But you weren't in a spot where you could have a career path. You worked your butt off, you tried to attract the right people, and hopefully they liked you. But you couldn't say, well, in 5 years I'm going to be here, and then in 5 years I'm going to be that kind of career path thing didn't apply. Mm-hmm. Totally different from me now. So my concept of success used to be that hotshot editor finally gave me an assignment, and now I'm on his radar screen. Now it's different. Now it's the new thing I talked about. Okay, I'm going to take all the humanization of business and the research stuff that I do, and I'm going to apply it to an entirely new field that nobody does, where I have intrinsic value with these people. And I'm about to build out my first version of this, so then it becomes not a concept, it becomes tangible to everybody. And there's my next 20 years of career, just doing that. Having impact upon people is success. And it took me a while, basically living as an artist, not being able to determine my pricing, my terms, conditions, none of that. You want to work for us? This is what we pay. Now, I can say, okay, I can grow it. But the size of the invoice is a reflection of their respect for what I do for them. It's a numeric representation of how much value, I hate to use it in business, but I mean as a human being, how much they value me. That's pretty cool. It's taking me a little while to kind of get used to this. It's getting kind of fuzzy. Particularly in this new space where, okay, I'm going to help sell a $50 million business. That's going to be a pretty chunky invoice.
Right.
Cool. I like how this fits. Because I know that those zeros is a thank you.
Gotcha. So, I'm just thinking, like, what if you completely lost Castner Creative today, and in your marketing, well, I'm gonna say plus your marketing experience, but if you had to drop this today, what would be like your next move? Would you get back into photography, or
no?
What would you do?
No. I pulled all my still photography off of my website last year. I'm still very much a still photographer, but that confused people as what my true value is. It's nice because every so often I get to be a still guy and add value to some of my clients for the project. But that industry is certainly, the news industry is gone and has been for 7 or 8 years. Mm-hmm. The storytelling thing is what I've always been driven to do. That's all the work I've always done. So not being able to do something of that magnitude, that import taking people on journeys, it's not what I do, it's who I am. So if I couldn't be doing this kind of thing and I had to get like a whole other kind of dealio, I'd be finding a bridge. Because it's not a job. It's a way of life. Any more so than breathing. So, not to be dramatic, but
you'd find a bridge.
I would. Well, my wife told me that if I decided to end it, I'm not allowed to go into the woods and cover myself in honey and zip tie myself to a tree.
You got to find a bridge.
I thought a bridge would be a little cleaner.
Right.
You know, it was like I like bears and that's kind of recycling and all of that. And I technically live in Boulder County. They like recycling and nature stuff, but no, it'd probably be a bridge.
Okay, all right. So what do you have like up and coming? Like what could what do we have to look forward to? You know, do you have anything new that's coming?
I've got a bunch of neat projects coming up, and it's always kind of interesting because I've gone from a world where people could say, who do you work for? And I start listing off my clients and woo, like, yeah, I did a thing for Rolling Stone not that long ago, yada, 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 to I work for a bunch of really awesome people that you'll probably never meet. So I've got a bunch of industrial projects I'm working on. I love the manufacturing space. I've got a couple consultancies that I'm going to be doing some work for. But very much I'm looking forward to this whole thing of helping businesses, one, ramp up themselves. Because in the last 3 years of the business before sale, that growth is necessary. That's where they establish their value. So I can certainly be brought in by the exit planners to really help them fine-tune the brand messaging by better understanding who they are, hockey stick that thing up so that when it's ready for sale, they can say, wow, these guys have got the right together. Look at those numbers. And then all the research that I've done and all the interviews that I've done can be then repackaged to help the broker humanize the business, so it's not just a series of profit and loss statements, and can even be used to help onboard the new leadership. So boy, that's gotta be neat.
Right.
So definitely stay tuned for that because that'll probably be happening here in the next couple of months, definitely by the end of the year.
So you was telling me that you thinking about changing it from Castner Creative.
Yeah, because when you're a journalist, you're not a brand.
Right.
So
what are you gonna?
Well, because here's part of the journey. Business development and personal development are very hand in glove. And it's like, okay, well, I just kind of went by myself forever because that's who I was. You didn't hire a team. New York Post, New York Times doesn't hire a team to go and do photos. They hire a person. So I got my URL in '97 and put together my first crappy little website. But that was the day of, oh, dude, you got a website? Wow! Right? But it's always me. And then I went strictly commercial in 2019 and didn't know what to describe this as. And so during the lockdowns of 2020, I kept saying, okay, what do I do? What's the language that matters? And it turned out that there isn't any language that matters. There isn't a term for what I do. And one of my executive coach friends said, well, you're just going to have to figure one out and make it your own.
Yeah.
And that's where I started talking about immersive documentary style video storytelling for businesses. And then last year I started thinking, okay, if I'm working in this space, bigger organizations don't necessarily want to feel like they're hiring a dude. They want to hire a team. And so I said, okay, well then let's rebrand myself as Castner Creative and try it on for size. Which I did. It didn't freak me out. And it didn't freak anybody else out. I was referring to as my new branded hat. What do you think? Do you like my hat? How does it fit? Right. And so now I'm back to, no, I want them to know exactly what it is. It's me. Yeah, I have people I can bring in to speed up the process and smooth it out a little bit, but I can't train someone to think the way that I do.
Right.
And so, oh, it is Saturday, isn't it?
Yes.
Because I told myself, well, by the end of the week, I'm going to figure out, okay, that was yesterday. So I'm probably going to go take out the old template that I had, and because it's still sitting there on my hard drive, buy the same business cards that I had 9 months ago, and revert back to just being me.
So it's just going to be your first and last name?
It's just going to be Jonathan Castner, because my website is jonathancastner.com.
Right.
And everybody liked the hat, and the hat fit. But the hat isn't my style anymore.
Mm-hmm.
That was a phase. Mom, it's not a phase. That's who I really am. I am really who I am.
Gotcha.
And so clarity. Do a brand project on yourself. Who am I really? When people think about me, what do they think? They don't think about a team. They think about this guy who's always wearing the Chucks or the Vans and the color to match his shirt. Because I am. And so, yeah, it's a personal brand.
So it's just going to be...
I'm going back to Solamente.
Jonathan Castner.
Jonathan Castner.
So,
.com.
yeah. So with that being said, just let everybody know like where to find you. I don't know, however you want them to find you.
Well, the easiest thing is if you want to see how I see the world, jonathancastner.com.
Mm-hmm.
That's been telling the world about me and my various iterations since 1997 because I'm an old guy. Mm-hmm. I'm on LinkedIn, Jonathan Castner. There's actually a couple other me's out there, but there's only me.
Yeah. I think you have Castner Creative on your website.
Oh, I have the graphic.
Oh, okay, yeah, you do on your.
Because that's part of the branded hat thing. That's going to go away, right? But it's the same look as my other thing. So when it switches out, probably no one will notice.
Right. So website,
LinkedIn. I mean, technically, I have an Instagram, but that's not my people. The only social media platform that I bother with is LinkedIn because that's where owners and C-suite people hang out.
Well, what is your Instagram now? Because
it's Jonathan Castner.
Jonathan Castner. That's it.
That's it.
Jonathan Castner.
When you have a name like mine, there's not a lot of competition out there.
Exactly.
And when you establish it early, everybody is. That goes back to what we said earlier. Establish yourself, and then everybody else plays catch up.
So your email is probably Jonathan Castner.
Jonathan at Jonathan Castner. And actually, I got my Gmail account.
Yeah.
I got back when you couldn't just get Gmail.
Yeah.
You had to be invited to Gmail because it was an exclusive thing. So I was the only Jonathan Castner at Gmail because I'm.
Gotcha. Okay. So that's
OG or whatever you want to call it. I think maybe OG sounds more fun.
The OG Jonathan Castner. All right. So we got you on LinkedIn. We got your email.
Yeah.
We got your website.
And fundamentally, here's what I tell people.
Right.
Unless you are perfectly happy going backwards, and not having a 10% growth program is going backwards. Everything gets more expensive. If you haven't come up with an idea of how to at least be able to justify increasing your pricing 10% annually year over year, you're going backwards. And it doesn't mean that it requires a whole heck of a lot of effort. It just means that you have to be able to explain to people why you're worth it. And again, you're probably really, really good at what you do, but you're not really good at explaining that. You don't have to be trying to build an empire. You don't have to be saying, well, I'm going to take over the tri-state region. No. I just want to keep on trucking so that me or my employees or my dog doesn't eventually find ourselves in the poorhouse because everything got more expensive than us. Let me help. Give me a call. Shoot me a note. There's something that can be done that is easier than you expect and is much more human than you're figuring. If you're B2B, we definitely got to talk. Because with B2B, you can't razzle-dazzle and you can't shame somebody into purchase. A lot of B2C marketing and messaging is often based upon, this is your homework for the studio audience, a lot of business to consumer marketing is based upon making you feel inadequate. I don't like that. I want to help. I don't want you to buy something or a service because you're not the man you really should be. It lengthens, it strengthens it. No. But if you are an integrous person who tries to do something positive for the world, and you don't want to be going backwards by staying still, give me a call and see if I can help. And if I can't, I can find you one of my people who can in other directions, because I know lots of other people in the development space between coaches, consultants, other B2B creatives. There's a way to get from here to there that isn't as expensive as they're telling you. Right. Do not fall for the illusion of bespoke. It's a lie.
All right, so thanks for joining me today.
Absolutely,
and that was great. Everybody, thanks for joining this episode of Founder Fumbles. We had Jonathan Castner here. If you like this episode, please reach out to him. Go to castnercreative.com.
No, just Jonathan Castner account.
JonathanCastner.com.
See, fooled you.
Hit him up on LinkedIn. And please don't forget to like and subscribe and comment. It really helps the channel. And until next time, peace.
Cheers.